So the story that I'm about to tell you is true, is real, and hopefully it's a cautionary tale for those who are out there feeling some type of way. Now I know I do my videos typically in my office, in my bedroom sometimes, even in my car. But today I decided to do the video in the closet. I know you're probably wondering, well, why is he in his closet? This is where I had my first nervous breakdown. I remember it very, very well. I was at a restaurant having dinner, and I had received some news about how I was viewed as a person. And it made me feel some type of way because in my videos, I'm very confident. I know who I am, and I do. But, considering the source, sometimes what someone can say to you can break you down. And with all that I aspire to be then and now, I lost who I was in a moment of trying to please people. And that may seem very, very contradictory from my ego video, but that's where I was at the time. And I went home. I was having an argument with my then spouse, and I ended up locking myself in our bedroom closet, and I started hitting myself in the head with the wall. And for some odd reason, then spouse thought it would be a good idea to record it for evidence, which really infuriated me. And it was what it was. So fast forward a couple of months later, I'm having an argument with then said spouse, and I don't even know what we were arguing about, but it was to the point where our conversations were so volatile that I wasn't in the headspace to cope and or deal with, whatever it was that we were talking about, because some people don't know when to stop. And I'm not blaming him for any of the things that I'm about to talk about, because I am my own person and I take full responsibility for who I am as a person. However, I feel like the story needs to be told. And I say it in this way so that it helps those down the line not have to deal with some of the things that I've been through, again, hoping to be a cautionary tale. We're having an argument about what I don't remember, and at this point it's really not important, but we were having an argument, and we were in the kitchen, and I would go on one end of the house, you will follow me. Go back to the other end of the house, you follow me, and you just kept on and on and on. And I'm of the firm belief that if I walk away from you, clearly that's an indication that you need to leave me alone. But again, we are where we are. I was so enraged in my mind, and I was in such a space in my mind that I needed to just check out. Literally check out. Like I was so sick of hearing him bicker and argue with me, because you can't just say what you need to say and be done with it. Again, this is not about that argument, and I'm not blaming him for the things that I'm about to talk about. But in order to get to where we're going to go, you got to get the full story. I thought that it would be simpler to take a serrated knife, run to my car, and start to lacerate my wrist. And what I thought was a good idea at the time ended up turning into a whirlwind of events to the point where I thought I could drive myself to the hospital. Um, I wrapped my arm, I left the knife and all that in the car, or well, in the house. I wrapped my arm. I ran out of the house, and I drove. Well, all of a sudden, I started seeing the paramedics. Well, what I thought was paramedics, it was police, because he called the police and explained that I had basically lacerated my wrist and that I basically did bodily harm to myself. And I remember when they got there, I was I was combative. I was very combative. And I just wanted to be left alone. Like, I was going to drive myself to the hospital. I was going to get myself bandaged up and go on about my day. But at that point, I really just wanted to be left alone because I was taxed out mentally. I was taxed out mentally. I remember when they got me, when they finally negotiated me out of my vehicle. I was in the ambulance, and I remember calling my mother, and I told her, I said, listen, I said, y'all need to get down here and get my stuff, because all I could think about was, you know, my vehicle's gonna be like on the side of the road or something immaterial. Because again, I wasn't in the space that I needed to be in to fully be who and what I am today. And I ended up getting to the hospital. I told them what happened. They put me in a suicide watch room after they stitched me up and everything. And after a while, I think it was a mental health nurse, she came in and she asked me what happened. I explained to her what happened. I said I was in a good state, and all I wanted to do at that point was go home. I got stitched up. I did what I needed to do, and I wanted to go home. Well, they decided that they should put me somewhere else. So they put me on the third floor of the hospital. And funny enough, I worked at this hospital. But I will say the staff was very, very nice. Um, Anytime somebody in my department needs to go on the floor, because I worked in infrastructure, anytime anybody from IT or anything needed to come on the floor and deal with anything, they made sure that I was away and that nobody saw me and kept my identity private. You know, it's my story to tell at this point. I can tell it. I could have told it then. But I feel as though I appreciate how they, you know, looked after me. But I remember being upset, thoroughly upset, that the police were called with regards to me lacerating my wrist. I remember being upset about there being no clocks on the wall in the on that ward. And for the most part, got to move around pretty freely. They wanted us to participate and stuff. I knew what my issues were. I'm very self-aware. While I did have this issue going on, for me, it was like a blip in the on the radar. And it's like, you know what? I made a misstep. This ain't who I am. But it was who I was at that time. And that was something that I needed to deal with. And I dealt with it. I got the help I needed. I got into counseling. I started talking to people. I started joining chat groups and stuff like that. Just, trying to get the necessary help that I need to be who I am today. And, I could easily make this lighthearted, but right now, this is not a laughing matter. Suicide is not a laughing matter. And I remember I'm very, I will say this anecdotally, I am very partial to old ladies. I don't know if it's the mothering spirit or what, but I'm very partial to old ladies. And I remember the lady telling me when she checked me in on the third floor, she said, "Why'd you do that to yourself, baby?" And I explained to her what happened, and she said, "Your life is not worth what you went through." She said, "Don't take your life for nothing or nobody." And that's my message today. You know, life is hard, especially during this pandemic. Life is hard. Even before the pandemic, I'm sure people were going through things that may seem so minuscule to others, but it's your life and it's your experience that you're dealing with. And sometimes, unfortunately, we have to go through those things by ourselves. You can try to let people in and give them something to go, a clue, a nugget, or something as to what you're going through. But the fact of the matter is, you have to go through it, but you don't have to go through it alone. And I feel like if you break down and you truly talk to people about your experiences, about what's going on with you, you know, life will fix itself. One thing that I tell people all the time, whether it's at work or whether I'm doing something, I say, you know what? You're going to stress yourself out or you're going to take your life and the world is going to go on like it has been without you. Don't allow the things that bind you take you out, because God has a bigger plan and purpose for all of us. He has a bigger plan and purpose for me. He has a bigger plan and purpose to those that are in earshot of my voice. He has a bigger plan. And that's the bottom line, that God has a bigger plan. I thank God that I had those nurturing old ladies to remind me of that, to give me that old town religion. And I think at the time, my ex, who at the time I didn't think it was the best thing to do, but I think that him making that phone call was the best thing for me. I did not agree with that at the time, but I really think that was the best thing for me at the time, because I needed to be saved from myself. But I say all that to say, there is life on the other end of whatever you're going through. If you watch my videos, you probably see this. This is my continue. And then this, which I can't position my hand right. Everybody thinks that this is the 69, or they think it's Scorpio or whatever. But I was in pod B9. So the first tattoo that I ever got when I got out of the psych ward was a B and a 9. But the way that I have it, it's in a musical way. So I have the flat symbol and a 9 attached to it. And people think that that's something other than what it is. And then I have continue on my wrist. As just reminders that, and I have the continue between my lacerations, because there seemed to be just a good spot for me to put that right between my lacerations. But there is life on the other end of whatever you're going through. If you need to get a tattoo before you go and do something crazy or do something harmful to yourself, do that. If you need help or you need to talk to somebody, I will put the numbers on the screen like I did on one of my videos before. Call the national hotline. Call the hotline. Talk to the people. Let them know what's going on with you. Tell them how you're feeling. Tell them what's going on with you. Get on your knees and pray. You may not even be religious, but sometimes you never know who's listening. You might get on your knees and pray in your apartment, and the person down below in your apartment hears your cry and comes to your aid. God is going to hear you no matter what, but you never know who's listening on the other end of those cries, and God hears and feels our tears. So don't be if you're a man, don't be ashamed to cry. If you're a woman, just dare to be vulnerable in this moment if it means saving your life, because I felt vulnerable enough to do this to myself, and in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't necessary. I think about all the people's lives that I've touched in a positive way post this situation, and I have nobody to thank but God for it. He brought me from a mighty long way. So, as always, make sure you like and subscribe. I'm not trying to, garner subscriptions in this post. This is more of a cautionary tale. Stop what you're doing. Talk to somebody. Get the help you need. Just know that somebody out there loves you, and somebody wants good for you, even if you don't want it for yourself in this moment. I thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps somebody out there stop what they're doing or stop what they're about to do. I know September's almost over with and the Suicide Prevention Month is almost over, but it's never too late to remind somebody to just stop what you're doing and ask for help. Thanks.